Right, we're live. Hello, Ellie.
Hello, everybody.
Well, today's all about crowdfunding once again.
Yeah, what better topic for a Wednesday?
Right. Well, we do this once a week. So Wednesday, 12:30. So for all of you out there who like something regular, we will be here 12:30 on a Wednesday once a week. That's 12:30 UK time. For those of you who might be further afield. So jump in and ask us questions, anything to do with crowdfunding. And so today we've going to answer some questions. Over to you, Ellie. You've got some.
Okay, so today I've decided to put Anthony in the hot seat, and I've gathered a lot of our community questions that we've been sent in over the past couple of weeks. So I'm going to fire them at Anthony, and we're going to see what we get back. Anthony, first up, we've got how do you keep your campaign backers engaged?
Oh, that's a big one. Your campaign backers. That's presuming you got any. No, I'm joking. Now, of course we have. We wouldn't go crowdfunding without backers, would we? So we've engaged them beforehand. We've got them on an email list. We've got them primed and ready. We launch, and so how do you keep them engaged? Well, leading up to the actual launch of the campaign, we need to keep them engaged so that they actually come to the campaign page when you launch. And then when you are running your 30-day campaign, you've got to keep them engaged during the 30 days there as well. So there are lots of things that you can do to keep them engaged. One, you've reached out to them beforehand via email, via social media, that is on Facebook and Instagram and all the rest of it. So they are aware of you and they're aware that you're going to launch a crowdfunding campaign. So that's number one. You're engaging with them through social media and through email. And then there's lots of other things that you can do to keep them engaged. You can involve them in competitions, get them to help spread the word. You can, once they're on your email list, you can constantly and regularly email them before the actual campaign. Build up a bit of suspense, get them all curious about the actual campaign when it goes live. There's live streaming, just doing what we're doing now. In other words, it's so easy to go live streaming into your Facebook group, for example. That is another way to keep people engaged beforehand. Is in a Facebook group or a similar type group. Another way to keep people engaged is writing engaging blog posts, becoming a guest blogger on other people's websites, being interviewed as on other people's podcasts, etc., etc. So we will share more specifics on each one of these a little later. So in other words, one of the things that we're working on at the moment is how to build your crowd before you go crowdfunding. So once you've launched your campaign, yes, well, other ways to keep people engaged is, if you have managed to develop a relationship with some journalists, get them to promote your campaign. If you've developed a relationship with influencers, whether they be bloggers or Instagrammers or whatever the case might be, you get them to share your campaign message to their groups, to their crowds. During the campaign, it's very important, especially during the first couple of days when you have those initial supporters, is to thank them for their support and then encourage them to spread your campaign message to their crowd. So that would be another way of doing it. During the campaign, studies have shown that it is very important that you update, regular updates. So during a 30-day campaign, for me, minimum once a week, which is an update which you do in the back office. What I mean by the back office is this is once you log into the crowdfunding website where you have placed your crowdfunding campaign page. In other words, you've created this campaign page via the back office. So via the back office, you're also given additional tools to reach out to people so you can engage them during the 30-day campaign. So you do that. One of the ways to do that is through updates. And those updates could be more information about your product or service. It could be adding an additional reward maybe into your campaign, but in my opinion, minimum maybe twice a week updates. Twice a week. Studies have shown that updates result in more backers than if you don't do updates. So the person who's backing your campaign needs to know that you're engaged and that you're out there. So there are some tips there, but if you come and join us on a regular basis on a Wednesday at this time, we'll share more of those in depth with you, and of course encourage your friends to come and join the group as well. Those that you know who might be interested in crowdfunding. So there we go.
Fantastic. Right, next up, is there an ideal time and day to launch a crowdfunding campaign?
Well, it depends. How's that for an answer? It always depends. Right, as a sort of general guideline, I'm not saying that you can't launch during these months, but I would say, for example, I would be less encouraged to launch during the summer months and during Christmas and New Year. So when you're taking that into account, when you're taking the time of year into account, that is also an issue. There is, of course, it depends on your product too. I know someone, well, huge campaign. They launched in winter and didn't reach their target. They launched 6 months later, same product, same story, same video, and raised 13 million. And that was the coolest cooler product. So, you know, one of the things Ryan, who ran the project, he was asked, well, why did you succeed second time round and not first time round? And he said, it's the coolest cooler. It's a product for summer. I launched it in winter. Nobody was interested. And 6 months later, I launched it in summer. That's not the only reason why, but that would be one of the reasons why. So that's taking the time of year into account. When it comes to the time of when should you launch? Should you launch over a weekend? Should you launch at night, midnight? Should you launch in the middle of the day, midday, for example? As a guide, launch on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday at 12 o'clock midday, because your campaign will end at the same time. And so you've got to think about, well, what's going to happen 30 days later. And once the 30 days is up, you've got to be awake and around to help close off the campaign as well. So there we are, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, 12 o'clock.
Fantastic. Okay, next up we've got, can you go crowdfunding on a limited budget?
The answer to that is yes. So, it depends on whether you have patience. Somebody out there, Ben Adam Smith, who didn't have a crowd, so it took him 18 months to build his crowd before he went crowdfunding. So, he did it through a very inexpensive, he took an inexpensive route by launching a podcast in order to do that. However, the most costly aspect when it comes to crowdfunding campaign is doing your video. Actually putting your campaign on a website, on a crowdfunding website, is normally free. So you can open up an account at any time. You can put up your video, all your material and rewards and all the rest of it without any cost involved. So the actual platform is free. However, the video is normally the most expensive bit. And so you've got to decide, well, are you going to create the video yourself, or are you going to pay someone to do it for you, or do you have someone on your team who could actually help you put that video together? And believe it or not, I've been asked many times, well, not many times, I've been asked to show people how to create videos using your phone and your finger. So yes, you've got all of the tools on your mobile phone. They're powerful enough for you to put your own video together if you're prepared to go through that learning curve. If you don't have the time for that, and you don't have to spend too much time doing that, but at least get some sort of guideline as to how the video should be structured so you know what's involved. And hopefully, if you don't have time to do it, get a team member to do it. And if you don't have a team member to do it, pay someone to do it. And that's normally the most expensive part when it comes to running a crowdfunding campaign. And when it comes to platform fees, yes, there are platform fees, but they take the money off at the end when you reach your target. So you don't have to worry about that kind of expense until after the campaign. I hope that answers your question.
Wonderful. Next up, we've got, how do I know if my idea is crowdfundable?
Wow. Okay. One way to do it is to actually go crowdfunding. In other words, crowdfunding is a wonderful way to test your idea on the market. So go for a small one. Go for a small crowdfunding campaign. Test the idea on a small group of people with a small target. That's one way of doing it. So yes, crowdfunding is one way to test with. I mean, to me, it's one of the major takeaways when it comes to crowdfunding.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And am I right in thinking another way to perhaps get an idea of whether your project idea is crowdfundable is to actually look for something that's aligned with what you want to do. So scour those crowdfunding platforms for projects like the one that you want to run.
Spot on.
That might give you a good idea, but perhaps if that project didn't fail, don't rule out that yours wouldn't work, because there are so many factors at play, and it depends how many success factors that they had in place versus the idea.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. That is part of the research that you're going to do. So you first figure out what type of crowdfunding you're going to do, then you figure out what platform you're going to go on, and then you go onto the platform and do research to figure out how it has worked out for others. For example, if you go onto Kickstarter, they've got an analytics section there, and they tell you the success rate in various different categories. That could be a guide. But go into the actual category itself and see what other people are doing, because there are anything up to 5,000 projects that are live on any one day on Kickstarter. So
lots of inspiration.
Check them out. Yes. See what they're doing.
Perfect. The next up, we've got, what makes a good campaign page?
Well, crowdfunding now works this way. In other words, you email someone a link, or through social media, somebody ends up with a link, they click on the link, and up comes a page. And so, that page is going to convert someone into a backer, or it's not. So the very first thing they look at is the video. So the video's got to be good. Under the video, you've got the story that's all fleshed out with images. So the story needs to be in words for the search engines, and also images maybe of the rewards and or the development cycle, or your team members, or whatever the case might be. So people consume the video first, then they'll read the rest and have a look at the images, then they'll go to the target, and then if they feel confident that you will reach your target, then they'll go and have a look at the rewards. And so, the next thing that really helps with a great campaign page is obviously to have great rewards. So that's basically the structure.
Fantastic. And am I right in thinking we've got a resource on the Crowdfunding Academy that's a collection of campaign videos that we'd recommend? And maybe it's a good idea actually to go ahead to that resource, and I can paste the link below in the comments, and actually go in and watch those videos, because they vary depending on the product. Some are very funny, some pull at your heartstrings, some do all three, but there's some great videos in there for inspiration. And actually, I think in most cases, we've included a link through to the original campaign page where you can get a feel for the rewards that they're giving, or the rewards that they've listed versus the story they're presenting, and so many different aspects. I think actually diving in and have a look would probably be very helpful.
It will. What we've got in there is a sample of videos for rewards-based crowdfunding, for equity crowdfunding, and for debt-based crowdfunding. But video is key.
Brilliant. I'll get hold of that link and drop it in. So I'm going to end this live on a big question. I think it's one of the ones that we get asked most, and that is, why is no one backing my campaign?
Oh, that's the most common question I get asked. Why is no one backing my campaign? And the reason for that is that, please listen to this. This is very, very important.
Let's be focused.
Strangers do not back crowdfunding campaigns. Strangers, let me repeat that. Strangers do not back crowdfunding campaigns. So, the idea of putting up a crowdfunding campaign on a platform and press the launch button and hope that there are a whole group of people out there searching the internet to back crowdfunding campaigns, well, that's not going to work. That's not going to work at all. So there are a whole lot of success factors that you need to have in place in order for your campaign to succeed. And one of them is how engaged is your crowd before you go crowdfunding. So coming back to the question, why is no one backing my campaign? That is because you haven't looked at those success factors. You don't have enough of them in place, and you don't have an engaged, or should I say, a whole group of super fans to kick things off.
Yeah, get that momentum going.
Sure. So,
great. Well, thank you, Anthony, for answering those questions.
Pleasure. Next week, Wednesday, we'll answer some more. So, for those of you watching, please, either below this video, because it'll be available as a replay in the group, please add in your questions. And we'll answer them next week. So please join us next week.
Super.
Great. Enjoy.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.